This week on Hooligan Nation, the Demons' 1978 solo album review. But only if you first wish upon a star. Stay tuned, because you got
nothing to lose. Oh, yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
You wanted the best. Well, they retired. So you got two dudes in a garage.
Talking KISS.
Welcome back to Hooligan Nation, a KISS-Centric podcast. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Rocco. God of Thunder Rocco today.
So as usual, before we get started with greatness, that is leaving Gene Simmons on his own, which is kind of like leaving a 9-year-old at home alone with an open flame. Recap of last episode. We spent last week in Vegas in a dark, smoky lounge. I feel like drinking a cheap, warm beer and listening to... Why do I picture Peter Criss in like that 1976-77 Elvis Presley outfit, fat with a gut, and all sweaty? Why do I picture Peter up there singing his lounge act?
Yeah, it definitely lounge act is right. After that, the take on that is definitely a Vegas lounge act is the way you sum it up. You could definitely see summing up that whole album. You could definitely see where he came, what he brought into the band.
I gotta read this. I forgot about this and I gotta find it and read it. It was a comment made by one of our, I think he's a subscriber, off of the trailer. Yeah, I thought this was funny. So this is from Charles Bronson 4282. Charles Bronson. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe because I like you. You have the same sense of humor that I do. His comment that came off of the Peter Criss trailer that just went out on Monday. I don't even think cocaine can make any of Peter's solo work seem digestible. He gets a mic drop. Got me some material. So thank you, Charles Bronson. I love these names, Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson. Yeah, keep the comments coming, guys. Keep the comments coming.
So thank you, Charles Bronson, for... no matter how many times I say it's going to make me laugh. Thank you, Charles Bronson, for commenting, and thank you for making an entertaining comment. Also, before we get started, I wanted to do this. I don't want to go crazy with this. I don't want to pander to people, but unlike YouTube, when it comes to the podcast, we get to see where our podcast is downloaded from. And it blows my mind that we're getting listens in Australia, in Saudi Arabia, all over Europe, really all over the world. I'm not a self-promoter. At least I'm not a good self-promoter. But we got listens in Sweden, Germany, Australia, Saudi Arabia. Pretty cool.
Me too.
For two guys that started, we didn't even know that this was a podcast at the time. We just started filming ourselves in a garage talking about KISS. I can't... It was my idea.
It was a good idea.
They usually aren't good ideas, but in this case, I guess it was a good idea. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And like I said, I'm not trying to say we're getting thousands of views and downloads, because we're not. But just the fact that we have downloads in Australia and all over the world. I mean, really, if you're Italian and you're watching this, we are both Italian. We'd really like to get like one listen in Italy. Just one. Just one listen in the homeland would be great.
Well,
Just saying.
you saying that stuff is kind of like makes me think of this again. Like again, the reason we're doing this is we're kind of like reliving our childhood, listening to these albums again. It's I'm listening to songs that I forgot how good they were, and some songs that are not as good as I thought maybe they were. It's been a lot of fun, but when we say about a community, we really want a community. Like I want, if you want, drop in the comments who you are, where you're from. Like this is something, and if you hear something we say and you like, those guys know what the hell they're talking about. This is how it went down. Put it on there. Like we generally are doing this because we love the band Kiss and we want to share it with our fellow fans.
Since we're on that, for the millions that are listening out there, my brother, he would like to make comments, but I guess his fingers don't work. So he sends them to me in text messages.
Come on, dude,
Uh,
start making comments.
so I'm just going to start reading his comments over the air. So this comment is for my brother in regards to our episode that's out now, which is the Hall of Fame episode. He believes that Vinnie Vincent should be in the Hall of Fame because he was the beginning of the no makeup era. And if they had shit the bed, Kiss could have been over. So that is his opinion. My response to that is that I agreed with him. I think Vinny should be in because of Creatures of the Night, Lick It Up, and Revenge. He had involvement in 3 records. Revenge was as a co-writer, Lick It Up was as a full band member, and Creatures of the Night was as a ghost musician and co-writer pretty much. So in my opinion, I'm with him. I like what Vinny added to the band. It's just everything else about Vinny that's a problem. But I do think Vinny should be included. I absolutely think Bruce Kulick should be included. And I think Eric Carr goes along with Bruce Kulick. As much as I have issues with the last lineup of Kiss, Eric Singer is a no doubt should be included, and Tommy Thayer also. They Eric Singer played on 3 albums, and Tommy Thayer played on 2. And as you always say, it's all a part of their history.
All right. My response to that is first, Mike, put in the comments, bro. You definitely have something to offer. That's another reason why we're like, when he told me that you text him, I'm like, why doesn't he just put a comment in the freaking YouTube thing? But
Dude,
anyway,
don't put it in the comments. Come on the podcast.
come on the podcast. You're welcome. I mean,
You have an open invitation to come on this podcast anytime you want.
but as far as Vinnie Vincent goes, I think he was easy to dismiss when we had our conversation because he's such a douche. Like he's created so much drama in so many areas. He steals things. There's a lot about Vinny to dislike when it and his, he's a good guitar player. He shreds like a maniac, but I can be swayed. Mike swayed me. Like I could see Vinny being part of that. I mean, Mike's take on Vinny is legit though. That's a good take.
I always thought that Bruce, Eric Carr, and Vinny should have been included. I dismissed Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer, and it was actually Victor that made that make sense to me. And I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. But I think if you do the math, Tommy Thayer was in Kiss longer than Ace and Peter in total time, which means Eric Singer was too. I mean, he's got more time in Kiss than Eric Carr. He's got more time in Kiss than Bruce Kulick. I can't believe I'm actually verbally saying this out loud. Just with the time alone, the massive amount of touring over those 20 years, 2 records, I think most of them have legitimate arguments to be included. And honestly, and this is crazy, and I don't have time to do this, especially right now, But somebody should, like, this is whether we're 50, 60, or 70 years old, the KISS Army is still alive. Like, we might need to get things going to start putting pressure on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that, yeah, it's more than time to start adding them. However, even whether that's possible or not, I think Bruce, Eric Carr, Eric Singer, Tommy Thayer, and Vinnie Vincent deserve an induction. And it's a shame if we, as the KISS Army, can't band together and somehow figure out a way to get that done, because I think it's
Yeah.
unfair.
Yeah, it's still kind of great to see how they had to make these decisions in the first place. You know, like you shouldn't have to question, well, why did they omit these guys? Why, what's the criteria that they're using to pick somebody and not pick somebody? And to me, it's all been personality. It's all been what they as a person, what they think, instead of, a consensus of the public opinion.
Creatures of the Night, Lick It Up, and Revenge, in my opinion, are three very good. I wanted to say three of their best records, but somebody will hear that they're the three best records. And I don't think they're the three best records, but I think they are three very good records. Funny enough, all of which came out in a very important time. Dude, if Creatures of the Night does not come out after The Elder, KISS might have ended in 1982. And I say this all the time, and we talk about this endlessly, and I know it. If KISS follows up The Elder with Dynasty or Unmasked, or for that matter, Carnival of Souls, it's probably over. Probably done.
Well, timing is everything. Creatures of the Night was at a perfect time, and they definitely were on par with what was coming out too at the time too. It fit perfectly.
Right, but then they followed it up with almost, if not as good, almost as good. I think it's as good a record. Lick It Up.
I love Lick It Up. That album's great.
And then, they started to go into the hair metal trend, and I shouldn't call it hair metal, hair band trend. And they started to sound a lot like Bon Jovi. And then here comes Revenge to pull them out of that, even though Vinny's a douche, and I'll agree Vinny's a douche. And by all accounts, Vinny's just a bad guy. He's a crook. He's a thief. He's really weird.
And again, Vinny, if you're watching this at some point, we're not saying it directly about you. Where there's smoke, there's fire. This has been from so many different sources, so many different outlets. So it's not my personal opinion. But based on all the stuff we've heard about this dude, he's caused problems everywhere he's gone. Everywhere he's gone.
Yeah. And Vinny, if you're watching this, I don't care. Sorry.
No, I do. Sorry. I want him to watch it. Come on on the show.
Oh no, I want you to watch it, but I don't care if you have a problem with it. If you got a problem with it, I'll send you a link in Zoom and you can get on here. And if you do, I bet you my brother will come on. And we can have a discussion, all four of us. Actually, you know what? Vinny, if you want to come on, contact us at the email that's listed. It's listed somewhere on the YouTube page. And my brother will run the entire interview because he'll be pro Vinny. And I'll just chill and play my pinball machine. I can remember that.
Last thing I'll say about Vinny is I love the stuff that he's put down musically. I mean, and even though like he goes a little too crazy with the guitar at times for me, Vinnie Vincent Invasion's a great album. Boys Are Gonna Rock, great tune. So I mean, I can acknowledge the good stuff on there, but as a person, like I said, there's been so much shade thrown his way about the way he is. So that's all I got.
And I think you said it. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And when you hear it from all different people over and over again, there's There's got to be some legitimate, real problems there.
All right, news. I'll just sum up. I've been, you know, since we started this, I go and I look at different things and try to get outlets for different interesting news. And it's not the same style band, but the band Queen. It was just interesting. I read this about Brian May was interviewed by Liz Scarlett of Classic Rock Mag on November 8th of this year, and was talking about how Freddie Mercury was not a shoe-in for the band, which, he's one of the best vocalists of all time. So you would think, really, I was really shocked by that. And just said that he was extremely tough to deal with. He had doubts about him being their frontman in the early days. He didn't, because Freddie did a lot of running around and place and screaming his head off. So we thought, is this going to work? So I just was shocked by that because, when you think of the band Queen, Freddie Mercury synonymous with him. And I was just surprised when I read that. So if you happen to like Queen and you thought that it was like an automatic, it wasn't automatic no matter how it's, and obviously once he started singing, they realized the talent and they were able to get through it. I think some of the band members actually started thinking it was kind of comical a way, but he would such a perfectionist and he would get a little crazy about things. But so that's what I got for news.
All right, I got something kind of small. So I was just surfing around YouTube, of course, because that's where I live pretty much. The other night, and I came across called Loaded Radio, the YouTube channel, and they had a interview with Bruce Kulick, and I'm not really going to get crazy into it because we got a lot to do today, and I don't want to take the shine off of Gene Simmons' solo record because it's that great. But it was an interesting interview. You've said it a couple times. Bruce is the consummate company man. Man, I'm telling you, Bruce Kulick should run for some kind of public office. He's really look. Everything I say is a compliment about Bruce. He really knows how to answer questions and diffuse controversy. They ask him, questions about KISS, his version of KISS being over, and he's asked why Tommy Thayer and not him. He explains that Tommy was the road manager for KISS at the time. And I guess there was a couple times that Ace didn't show up and Tommy had to step in to the costume, for a private show and for a commercial that I don't remember. He talks about that time. Of course, he doesn't say anything bad about Gene or Paul or Tommy or Eric. Bruce doesn't say anything bad about anybody. Bruce is just
He's a classy guy. He's a classy guy.
100% good dude. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Bruce, and the more of these interviews come out with Bruce, there's really nothing bad to say about Bruce. And just like we talk about Vinny, where there's smoke, there's fire. If I ever heard anybody say anything bad about Bruce, I have to tell you, I'd dismiss that shit immediately.
100%. 100%.
And not believe it. I don't care whose mouth it came out of.
Well,
I just wouldn't.
Well, I don't know if and this is going to probably surprise you because I don't know if I ever told you this, but I mean, the era we started listening to KISS, Bruce was the guitarist.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me there is a sex tape.
Oh God, back to it again. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so he's out of all the members that have ever been in KISS, he's my second favorite. It's Gene and then it's Bruce for me. Always has been.
Bruce is a roll up your sleeves, construction working lead guitar player. He came across, at least to me, as the accountant that was in the band.
Yeah, I know you've said that before.
And then
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
and it's not a personal attack on him. It's just, even if you watch the concert videos, if you saw them live in concert, Bruce never wanted to be flashy, never wanted, like, he didn't do the Vinny thing. He did what was needed to be done.
But it,
Until Gene or Paul comes out and says that Bruce put himself before the band somewhere, I will never believe that Bruce ever put himself in front of KISS. It was always KISS first, and that's my perception.
he always lets
I
you know he didn't want it to end, though. He always lets you know he didn't want it to end, but
Oh, he let
he
you
kind of got it, you know.
he let you know in this interview that he didn't want it to end. It's a business. Paul and Gene made a business decision.
Right.
Unfortunately, when they backed the Brinks truck up, they ran Bruce over. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy that they did. I really am. And I think he is too.
Yeah, I think he got it. He definitely understood it.
I don't think it would have been good for Bruce's legacy to walk out on stage wearing Ace Frehley's makeup. I think Bruce, again, my perception, but I think Bruce is held at a very high regard. And I think part of that is because he had his era and then he sailed off into the sunset. He has done his own thing. He's made a career of it, or a new chapter of his career of it. And he speaks of KISS and of his era and promotes it more than anyone else. I mean, to be fair, Eric Carr's not with us anymore, and Paul and Gene only really want to talk about the makeup era. Whether that's because of money or what it is, I mean, who knows? But I think Bruce is a good dude, and it
Yeah,
comes through on
absolutely.
this video. The video is, again, it is from Loaded Radio YouTube channel if you guys want to check it out.
One last thing about Bruce as a guitar player, one of the things that I love about Bruce is they call them like voicings. Remember we talked about, you know, Ace Frehley as a chef. We've said that many times about how like he perfect spots for solos. Bruce has a beautiful way with his voicings of midstream shredding and then coming back and having a nice melodic end to everything he does. I've always loved it.
Yeah, I absolutely think Bruce did what was best for KISS. Maybe not necessarily best for his career. You know, he was a lot like, oh, I've said this before and you've agreed to it and other people have said it. Bruce is probably the closest to Ace. He did what was needed and he didn't go overboard. Vinnie Vincent, Mark St. John, just my truth.
And I mean, not for nothing, I think me and you both respect his loyalty.
Absolutely. He's the perfect company man.
Yeah.
Music we're listening to.
All right. Couple weeks ago, I think I touched on it. The band Pop Evil. Since I got Spotify Premium, I've been really enjoying some of the new stuff I've been picking up, and they're really good. I have yet to hear a song I don't like. Some of it starts a little heavier than I listen to now. I used to listen to heavy stuff Metallica had back in the day, and I still like it, but I've never liked real heavy stuff where you can't hear what they're singing. So Pop Evil, they got Torn to Pieces, Trenches, Footsteps. I think my favorite right now is Waking Lions. It starts out super heavy, but then it gets into some really good stuff. So I highly recommend Pop Evil. They're a very good band.
All right. I don't think I've ever listened to them, but I will check them out. My music we're listening to is second episode in a row. I went to the Wasp show in Philadelphia. The last time I had saw Wasp was in March 1985 when they opened up for KISS on the Animalize tour. They were really good. It was at the Franklin Hall Music Center in Philadelphia. Blackie was great. They had for a small spot, it was probably 3,000 people there, but they had a pretty good stage show. Blackie sounded very good. Whether that's with help or not, it remains to be seen, but he sounded very good. They did the first album from start to finish to completion, which was cool. I like every song on the first album, which is part of the reason why I went. And
Me too.
then they took about a 15-minute break, which seems to be what bands are doing these days, the older bands, which I think is great. Striper did it the week before. They took a half hour. I think that's great. I think that's what they should do if that's what they need to do. But they took about 15 minutes and then they came back and they did. I wouldn't call it a greatest hit set because, like, there are certain songs that I would have liked to hear that he didn't play. But they did play I Don't Need No Doctor, Wild Child,
Hey Jude, let's party.
and Blind in Texas, which was great. They ended the show with Wild Child and then Blind in Texas.
Love
Great
Wild
show.
Child.
Band sounds good all the way around. I think Blackie's 68. He's found religion. I have nothing against that. So he is a little different. He's not doing crazy things. They don't play Animal live, which is a shame. But they don't play Animal live. If you don't know why he doesn't play Animal live, read the lyrics. But, I hadn't seen them in 40 years. So I wanted to go see them one more time. And I'm glad I went and saw them, and it was a great show. So he's got a little more than, I think he's got a little less than a month left on his tour. If you guys are Wasp fans, and he's coming in your area, check him out. It is not a waste of your time. I will not speak on whether it's 100% live or not, because if you're any kind of a Wasp fan, you know what's out there. I mean, Blackie has said it that he does use help. How much help remains to be seen. I mean, I can tell you Friday night, I could hear some help at some points. What I heard most of the time was help in the chorus. And then there's some songs when I didn't feel like there was any help at all. I got to see Wasp 40 years after seeing them. I thought that was cool. So that's all. If you guys get a chance to see Wasp, it is not a waste of time. It is definitely not a waste of money. Again, my ticket with fees and everything was $50 a ticket.
How many people packed into that house?
There were two or three. It's a bigger place. Like, it's a bigger place than Starland Ballroom is.
Okay.
It's 2 levels. I'm guessing there was 3,000 people there. Like,
Okay.
there was enough there. There was enough there for me. It was cool.
I was just curious. Yeah, just curious.
I was on the 2nd level, and I'm going to put video. I love doing this. I'm going to put videos up because I took videos again. And that's why we went on the 2nd level. Yeah, you got to watch. You never know. You never know where it's going to go up, but I'm going to put videos up. That's why we went to the 2nd level, was so I could get a better shot for the videos. So even when I go to a concert, I'm thinking about the millions and millions of people that watch our podcast on YouTube. And for those that listen to the podcast from Australia, Saudi Arabia, and everywhere else, jump onto YouTube and watch us because we're so entertaining on camera. Hey, KISS Army, we work hard on this podcast and try to give you the best content possible. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Also, the podcast is now on all the podcast platforms. So please like and follow us there and give us some 5-star reviews. It really helps us out.
And while you're there, let us know if there's any Kiss related subjects you would like us to cover in the future episodes, and helps us build the hooligan community.
The legendary 1978 Gene Simmons solo album. As with the rest of the albums, it was released on September 18th, 1978. It was recorded between April and July 1978. It was recorded like all over the world. The Manor, Oxfordshire, Cherokee, Hollywood, Blue Rock, and New York City.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah. It was 38 minutes and 58 seconds in length. It was, of course, released by Casablanca Records. It was produced by the legend Gene Simmons himself and Sean Delaney. Of course, like all the other records, it shipped platinum. Pretty sure that nobody has 950,000 copies of this record in their garage. They might have about 500,000.
Yeah.
He released one single from this record. In my opinion, the best song, Radioactive. Look, as far as album artwork, of course, I mean, if you guys have been with us since we got out of the garage, I'll put the album artwork up here somewhere. And the same guy, who I can't remember his name right now, that did the album artwork for Peter, did it also for Gene, Paul, and Aces. And I'm sorry to that guy.
You ready? I got you, bud. I got you,
Yeah.
cuz Geraldo Carugati.
There he is. And once again, I think the best part of most of these solo albums, at least so far, is the covers. I think they're great covers. I should note this. I mean, we might hit this when we go into the song by song next, but the personnel on this record is about that long. I mean, if you had a heartbeat at the time, Gene was trying to get you on his record. So I'm gonna fly through that list real quick. So Gene plays vocals, guitar, and bass on this record. Neil Jason plays bass. Elliot Randall plays guitars. Alan Schwartzberg plays drums. Sean Delaney, percussion and backing vocals. Ron Frangipane, symphonic arrangements and conductor of members of the New York and Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra. Yes, one of the bad things about this, it has orchestra music in it. Gordon Grody, Diva Gray, Katie Seagal. That's not Steven Seagal's
No,
sister.
but that's not the girl from Sons of Anarchy, is it?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Actually, Sons of Anarchy, and what was the other one?
Married with Children.
Yeah, my brother texted me a couple weeks ago reminding me not to forget her.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
So, Katie Seagal, Franny Eisenberg, Carolyn Ray, all backing vocals. Eric Troyer, piano and vocals on Radioactive and Living in Sin. Steve Lacy, guitars on Radioactive. John Shane Howell, classical guitar. Radioactive, Burning Up with Fever. Richard Gerstein, piano. Joe Perry, yes, that Joe Perry from Aerosmith. Guitars on Radioactive and Tunnel of Love. Bob Seger, yes, that Bob Seger. Backing vocals on Radioactive and Living in Sin. Rick Nielsen, yes, that Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick. Guitars on See You in Your Dreams. Helen Reddy, background vocals on True Confessions. Jeff Skunk Baxter, guitars on Burning Up with Fever, See You Tonight, Tunnel of Love, and Mr. Make Believe. Donna Summer, the legendary Donna Summer. Background vocals on Burning Up with Fever, which you can actually hear her, and you can pick her out, and Tunnel of Love. Janice Ian, backing vocals on the prelude to Radioactive. Cher, spoken word, phone call on Living in Sin. Mitch Weissman and Joe Pecorino from Beatlemania. That's what the title of this record should say. Beatlemania, by the way. Backing vocals on Mr. Make Believe, See You Tonight, Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide. Michael DeBar, he was in the original MacGyver. Michael DeBar, background vocals on See You in Your Dreams. Richie Rano, the legend of Richie Rano, guitars on Tunnel of Love. The Citrus College Singers, chorus on True Confessions and Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide. And there's a lot of people on this record. It's funny. Why do I feel like when we get to Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley, it's going to be mostly Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley? Actually, in Ace's case, I know exactly who played on that record, and it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing to me. Songs.
All right.
Hit it, Curly.
So the first one is Radioactive. That was also the single. It's a good tune. It's got a haunting feel to it. There's laughing in the beginning, cool riff. I like his vocals on the song. Good chorus and harmony. A lot of backing vocals. Good chorus and harmony. But it's the popular one from the solo. When anybody talks about Gene Simmons' solo album, the first thing you think about is Radioactive.
Yeah, to me, it's the most Kiss-like song on the record.
Yeah.
I could have done without all the backing vocals personally. This isn't necessarily a negative thing, but it does sound like a dated song to me. It's a 70s song. I think that comes more from the guitar playing than anything else. But to me, it's the best song on the record.
That would bring us up to Burning Up with Fever. I put a lot of backing vocals, and for me, it's a forgettable song. Not good. Not good at all.
For me, it's a little different of a take. It's a song that I don't want to like, but it's catchy. I like the chorus. I think I would like the chorus more if he didn't have 500 backup singers. But it's a catchy song. I find myself liking it, I guess.
There's something he does in concert where he goes, "Oh yeah," and "Well, all right." Right? When he does that with this song, I say, "Oh no." And there's a lot of these
stop.
There's a lot of these songs I say, "Oh no" to. Why?
Stop, kids. I just want you all to know the trailer will go out before this episode goes out. So you will have seen that "Oh yeah" with the tongue at least 30 times before this episode comes out. It's gold. It's gold.
I wasn't saying it for that. It's just kind of how I felt it in the moment.
Okay. I don't care why you do it. I don't. Go ahead. When I got to edit these things, it's so much easier to edit them with entertainment, and that is entertainment right there. You are absolutely the cat's meow. Meow.
This is my coping mechanism. This is how I cope because he's my favorite, and it's how I cope getting through this album because we are only on the second song. The next song, I think is "See You Tonight," right? It's the next song.
Yeah, but remember this. Remember what I said last episode, because it works. It worked very well for me with this record. If you don't judge this record as a Kiss record, and you judge it for Gene being left home alone with no adult supervision at all, and he didn't have any adult supervision on this record. He's the producer. I mean, yes, Sean Delaney is the co-producer, but Sean Delaney worked for the band. Sean Delaney is not telling Gene, "No, you can't do that." I just envision Sean Delaney being a yes man. Yeah, Gene, that's great. Yeah. Let's see how many of your current or ex-girlfriends we can have on a record. Yeah, sure, that's a great idea, Gene. And inside of Gene is a 9-year-old. And this is something that I'm somewhat of an expert at because I am a 9-year-old. I give Gene credit for not putting out a cookie cutter Kiss album. It's catchy. It's not a terrible song. Like I said, I could have done without the millions of background vocals, but
You're talking about for See You Tonight, right?
well, most of them.
Well, yeah, but the only other thing I put on here is that it's very, very Beatlesque. Like I like the Beatles. It's very Beatlesque song, but it's another forgettable song for me. These are definitely some songs I skip.
It's a very Beatlesque record altogether. At least for me, I hear the Beatles in a lot of these songs. Maybe Radioactive, Living in Sin, and Burning Up with Fever may be the only songs on this. Oh, and the last one might be might be the only songs I don't hear the Beatle influence. Pretty much everything else you hear, at least I hear the Beatle influence, which isn't a terrible thing. It's just different than a Kiss record. Here comes another drop mic moment for me. It's Gene being eccentric.
Yeah, 100%. That's actually really, really good take. We jumped around a little bit, but we're on True Confessions. Like I said, that song, big piano in the song. Again, I put little notes, not good. Like they're not good. Like it's a skip. If I get to a song and I can't get through it, and it's like a song I'm going to skip. So that's what I got with that. That I call that a Skippy song. That's a Skippy song. I'm going to skip it.
Skippy song.
Skippy song.
Skippy song. All right. Gene was vocaling to a Skippy song.
Wait, you used my vocaling tune? I created that word. That's a rock. That's rockwish.
No, that's definitely a created word by you. Look, True Confessions, I don't normally like that 50 style piano in a song, and I don't like it here. It's a completely forgettable song. It is 100% a Skippy song.
Well,
I don't even like his vocaling.
here's the thing too, and I don't know if you're getting the same on this. I grew with my father. I grew up. I like oldies music. I like a lot of varying music that is some of the stuff he dabbled in, but I don't like the arrangements. It's not good. It's just not for my. There's someone. Listen, I don't produce stuff. It's just the way it's what I like. It's just what did Victor say when we did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? You either like there's either good music or there's bad music. To me, there's a lot of bad music on this. So if I'm a Kiss fan back then, and all these albums built up, and now I listen to the Gene album, expecting it to be, I would be expecting Gene's album to be Ace's album.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that Kiss made was putting that Kiss logo on each of those records. I think it made people think they were getting a Kiss record.
Right.
And so far with Peter and Gene, you did not get a Kiss record. On Peter's record, because of Beth, you could argue that there's one passable Kiss song on there. And on Gene's record, you could probably argue that there's 2, maybe 3 songs at most that are passable Kiss records.
But you know what? I want to pose a question to our hooligans.
Please.
So our take has been pretty rough in some ways on Peter and Gene, right? But does it matter that they looked at it as an opportunity to express their artistic individuality? Were we supposed to look at it that way, even though with the KISS logo on top of it? So I'd be interested to hear what our hooligans have to say.
Well, they can say whatever they want. I think you have to look at it like that. I think if you look at it like that, quote Charles Bronson, it almost makes Peter's record digestible. And at least for me, it does make Gene's record digestible when you look at it as a Gene Simmons solo album, not a KISS record, and you take Gene's eccentric nature and the fact that he was left unsupervised.
Like when we get to song number 10, as a Gene Simmons fan and the Demons fan, like I'm literally like I'm probably slamming the freaking disc on the ground after I hear that song.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing for song number 10. So
All right. And then you get to side 2, and now we're living in sin. We got it's a groupie song, cheesy tune. It's a weird Gene talking and breathing early on in it in different spots. It's just a weird song. Weird.
if Gene drank and did drugs in the 70s, it would be the greatest excuse for him. I'm living in sin at the Holiday Inn. It's not going to get him in the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
No.
After the title, it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I would have preferred Beatlesque or whatever the hell.
Like I said, I like the Beatles, and but the even some of the Beatles-esque songs, I just are not. The arrangement's not good. They do too much.
Too much.
All right, so the next one's Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide. I put Lazy River. It's a very lazy song. 70 influences all around. Just not good. I just put not yes. I do a lot of not goods on these, so that's a skip for me.
I'm okay with it. I don't know why, but I'm okay with it. It's not, I don't think it's great, but I'm okay with it. That's the best you're going to get out of me for that, is I'm okay with it.
All right.
Cut me off and move on, or I'm going to say too much.
All right. Man of a thousand. So you're a man of a thousand faces is what you're saying?
Yeah. Man of a Thousand Faces is interesting.
You got your orchestra.
That's the uninteresting part.
I don't care too much. I don't have a problem with orchestra, but yeah, you got your orchestra, trumpets. I like trumpets. They got trumpets in there. It's definitely not a rock influence at all. It's definitely again, him being eccentric and really trying to just do too much.
Yeah.
Number 9 is the second song that I like on it, Mr. Make Believe. I like the acoustic feel. It's a big time Beatles harmony, but it's a good Beatles harmony. Vocals. I got it overall. It's a good song. Gene being Gene without his personas. I thought it was a Gene. It's actually a George Harrison feel of a Beatles song. He's definitely like took that vein on the style as far as I'm concerned. But I like it. I do like that one.
Beatlemania has backing vocals on this, so that's why it sounds like a Beatles song.
That's a good point. I didn't realize that. Yeah, from when you read that earlier.
Here's a little tidbit that I've heard.
Wow, we made it that long without a tidbit. Wow.
He tried to get John Lennon and Paul McCartney to guest vocal on this record, and he could not get them. So he went out and got a Beatles cover band, Beatlemania, to do it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Gene may be eccentric, but that's good thinking, I think, on his part.
All right, so this next one is definitely a title that I could definitely see Gene coming up with. See You in Your Dreams. I really don't have a lot on this. What do you got for See You in Your Dreams as far as again, this is another one of those skip songs for me.
I don't skip it. It's okay. It's like most of this record. It's okay. If you listen to it without hoping for the God of Thunder or the Demon, it's okay.
All right. So this last one, Ant, I think you're gonna appreciate the take that I put on this one. So like when my daughter Emily, when she was like 4 or 5, we took her to Disney World. Right. And when you wish upon a star, you hear that a lot in the park. But I didn't really think that I would be hearing it from the Demon when I entered the park, that Gene Simmons would be the one singing it to me, or the Demon. Um, he doesn't do a bad job on it, but this is a song that if I was a diehard Kiss fan and I listened to albums out, Destroyer, or like all these albums leading up to this, and then I got to that song, I'd be like, I would be disgusted. I'd be throwing up a little bit in my mouth, I think.
I'm gonna make a confession.
Uh-oh.
I've heard it. I didn't even listen to it. I I just can't. I just can't. The guy who came up with the lyrics, "I'm 93 and you're 16," is now a couple years later singing "When You Wish Upon a Star."
Wow. I really like how you put that down. That was good.
To wrap this, I wouldn't call it painful, because it wasn't painful. Peter's solo album is much more painful than this one. But this was not what I was looking for out of the Demon in any way, shape, or form. But to wrap it up, it's what I've said over and over on this episode. It's Gene being eccentric. It's Gene being left unsupervised. He could have probably greatly benefited from a producer or a guardian or a babysitter,
And
maybe.
you know what? The other thing you just made me think of, it really shows how important the combination of Paul and Gene working together really is. Because you could see, like, I could see, like, Gene kind of like going, and Paul kind of reining him back in.
How important to Gene? Because
No, I think they
on
needed each other. There was a good, but I mean, I could see Paul,
that's
Gene maybe trying to do something, and like Paul's like, "That's not what we're about, dude. Come on."
our next episode is Paul without Gene, and it turns out a lot better than Gene without Paul. So I don't know how much Paul needed Gene, and I don't necessarily think Gene needed Paul. I think Gene needs a guardian. I think Gene needs somebody to organize his thoughts for him. It's eccentric, it's Beatlesque, it's unorganized, uh, it's it's unsupervised, and if you think about it, however many years later, it pretty much defines Gene as a person. You know, I mean, that's Gene's personality. Take Kiss condoms, Kiss coffins, Kiss air guitar strings, throw it in there, mix it all up, put Gene's 1978 solo album on, and it all makes sense. Doesn't sound that much better, but it all makes sense. I need to have Cher. I need to have Bob Seger. I need to have Joe
Right,
Perry. I need to have Rick Nielsen. I need to have Katie Seagal. I need to have all these people.
right,
I need pomp and circumstance.
absolutely.
The next two solo albums that we do, I have a feeling you're not gonna get any of that. You're
Well,
not.
I for one, am glad that Gene and Paul ended up becoming musical partners. That's for sure.
I think what the solo albums show you, and oh my God, stand by. If Victor didn't break the internet, I may break the internet now.
Oh,
There is no Gene Simmons without Paul Stanley, but it would be possible to have Paul Stanley without Gene Simmons, and that's what these solo albums show me.
I think actually, I don't know. I mean, Gene's on work ethic and his entrepreneurial spirit. Maybe it wouldn't have been in a rock band, but it would have been something. He would have made it somehow, some way.
Musically, not business wise, not branding, musically.
No, you definitely have something there, but just that other aspect of Gene, he would have been successful, and he definitely would have been, in the entertainment industry in some sort of way, and he would have been famous. There's no doubt in my mind. But yeah,
Oh,
Gene's
Gene's entertaining as hell.
yeah, he is.
To listen to the God of Thunder sing me When You Wish Upon a Star, that's entertaining as hell. It ain't good, but it's entertaining.
But I listened to it. It's actually not bad if it's not Gene Simmons. If you're in Disney World and somebody else is singing it, and I don't know. It's just weird.
I wasn't in Disney World.
Yeah.
I was in a Gene Simmons solo record that started with Radioactive and ended when You Wish Upon a Star. So why don't we just make a compilation record? You and me. We'll start a record company. We'll make a compilation record. Okay, we're going to start that compilation record out with Metallica Hit the Lights. For the finale of the record, why don't we go with Engelbert Humperdinck? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, you said it right.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
I don't know any Engelbert.
Can we get David Sanborn in there somewhere too?
Yeah, so why don't we get Michael Bolton?
There you go. Or Bublé. You can get Bublé too.
Oh, Bublé. Yeah, we'll get just because I could just say Bublé over and over again.
It's a fun word.
We could use it on the trailer. Bublé, Bublé,
Bublé, Bublé, Bublé.
I think it's time to put the demon to bed. Thank God.
Oh yeah.
So for those millions and millions of people that are out there that listened to the podcast and watch the podcast on YouTube, as always, thank you. We're going to put up a link to, I think the link is going to go up to a playlist that I'll list all the solo albums in. So by the time this goes out, there'll be a link to both Peter and Gene's solo album. So you can get them all in a bunch if that's what you're looking for. And with that being said, as always, if it's too loud, you are too old. Peace out, yo.